Welcome to the recording of the Polite Society podcast. The midweek show, we don't have a mixer, so we put it together. It's a little bit like watching sausage being made. On the weekends, we have a mixer. We can record most of the show live as we go, meaning the advantage of that is we hear the interviews, we can respond to the interviews, and Paul and Susan don't have to cut and paste near as much. Not so true during the middle of the week. Oh, do we want to post on Caddy and Facebook that we have the live link up? Let's do that.
Yeah.
So we have to go to the Polite Society page under live and then post that. Rachel, Kathy said she was looking forward to the girls' walk coming up.
Yes, that's right.
And talking about Caddy made me think that.
Yeah. We should have some of those ladies get on and talk about it. Some of them are planning it.
Even beforehand to help promote it. It's in January. Yeah. No, it's in July.
July 12th. Coming up pretty soon. So we aren't going to actually hear Kathy's interview on the live recording tonight, are we?
No, on the weekend we could, but we can't. For one, I'm not done editing it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's posted. Is anybody on? That would almost be clever for at least one of us to be there.
To be where?
John, do you want to take YouTube and I'll take the Politics and Guns live window? Did I lose John? Did I lose the Hangout?
I'm still here. John, are you there?
John muted himself.
Yes, it's got this thing on the cord.
Oh, and you bump against it, and
I bumped against it.
So one of us can take the live.
I've got the YouTube live feed up.
Okay, and I'll take the Politics and Guns page to see if anyone is there. Okay, you're there. You're there. Rachel, will you look at Q&A coming up on the?
Sure.
So yes. you got Q&A. John's got YouTube. I've got Polite Society. Let's do this thing. And somewhere in here we have show notes. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Gary at ABN. He may join us later. I hope so. If you have questions, join in on the Q&A app or the chat room. Shall we start in 5?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Polite Society podcast, recorded live on Wednesday, May 14th, 2014. I'm Rob Morse.
I'm Rachel Malone, and on tonight's show, we interview Anthony Calandro about his run for the NRA board and his testimony in front of the New Jersey Senate.
I'm John Richardson, and we interviewed Kathy Perkins, founder of Moms with Guns Demand Action.
We also have our usual self-defense news and defensive gun use. So, climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on. Episode 237 of the Polite Society podcast starts right now.
Who wants to mention that we won't have a Sunday show or a Saturday show?
Sure.
Well, thank you for all volunteering. John, you're the last person doing personal news, so okay. I'll ask you to reminder that we don't have a no Saturday show.
Okay.
I want to take us back in because I want to mention that Paul is on his way to Mag 40.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
Okay. Okay, are we ready for the personal news and notes?
Let's do it.
Sure.
And then we'll do the break, and Rachel will come back in and jump right along, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hi, and welcome back. This is our personal news segment. You know, after a couple months and a couple thousand rounds of cheap ammunition, I finally had to clean my 1911s. Yeah, and it didn't take a pick and shovel, but it was some work with a toothbrush to find out that there really was bright, shiny metal underneath it. Yeah, they needed it. John, I did change the aperture sights on my Mosin. I will try and get some pictures of that up and put them in the show notes. It's
Good.
Just been a little crazy. I was traveling a few days this week, so I got to listen to some podcasts that our listeners recommended. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Peter from Virginia, who sent a pro-liberty podcast in for me to check. I just got back last night from travel to and from Florida. John, I so much wanted to try that Mosin. I was going to go out to the desert. We're having Santa Ana winds. It's over 100 out there. And I just decided I was going to stay home, do laundry, and find my life before I made a bigger mess to climb over. Two other things. I threatened that I would ask you, and I'm going to. I donated to Dr. John Lott's Crime Prevention Research Center Indiegogo fundraising effort. Have you? You have until July, or until June. John?
I have not.
Rachel?
No, sir, I have not.
Not yet. No, the proper answer is not yet. Okay, so I'll keep nagging you. I have an NRA basic pistol class. I've never been certified before, so I'll go do that this weekend. That means I won't be here on Saturday. So, you know, you could do it next Tuesday and claim that it was this last weekend, and I wouldn't know any different because I won't be around to nag you.
That's true. That's true. Well, sounds like you've been busy, Rob, with some good adventures. I haven't done much tactical in the past few days. Some of my neighbors, I think, killed some snakes in the area, but I haven't seen anyone. I've been outside, so they had to do all that shooting. I have been watching some kids lately, so that definitely keeps life entertaining. I had some fun helping them out with schoolwork and homework. So, yeah, I spent some of my morning teaching music and the afternoon just working on Latin roots for the English language.
Wow.
Mm.
I saw, they pestered. Yes, okay. John?
I almost was about to break into the first line of Caesar's Gallic Wars, but I'll skip that.
I would be really impressed. You could do it wrong, and I'd still go. I'd still be impressed.
Gallia est omnia divisa into tres partes. It's the only thing I remember.
Okay.
Gaul is on the whole divided into 3 parts. Well, as regular listeners know, I broke my ankle just after Christmas. Well, today I got some good news. My physical therapist did his reevaluation and said I had exceeded the goals he had set much earlier than he expected. I get to cut out 4 more visits to the physical therapist, and I think this also means I might be able to go shooting sooner than later.
Good.
And, thank you. And as a reminder, as we leave the personal news segment, due to travel of many of the members of the co-host of the podcast, we will not be having a regular Saturday show. We will return Wednesday a week from today.
Did I mention that Paul's on his way to Mag 40 and I'm jealous?
You can mention that again. That would be acceptable.
Dang it. Well, anyway, we won't. When will we hear? I guess it'll be a week from now, next Wednesday, when we'll hear how it went.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go to a break. We've got an advertisement from ABN, and then we'll be back with our regular news. Except, Rachel, you're going to come back in and say, "This isn't news. This is a rant." Or do you want us to tee up? Do you want us to tee up your rant?
Yeah, go for it.
John, you want to do it, or should I?
Oh, I think you do a better job.
I do. Right.
You're just good at it, Rob.
I rant better than you. I rant better than. Back in 5. Hi, and welcome back. This is our news segment, except we're interrupting it. Rachel, you have a rant about students who say they can't.
That's true, Rob. My name is Rachel, but my friends call me Bullet, and true to my nickname, I'm going to shoot straight with y'all tonight. This is the I can't rant. If I had $1 for every time I've heard someone tell me they can't be politically active, my ammo fund would be amply supplied for quite a while, or at least for a couple of really good training sessions. It usually goes something like this. "Oh, I just love what you're doing in gun rights. You do such a great job. I wish I could do that, but I can't." And what they imply is something like this. "Some people can be activists because they just came that way, I guess, but I didn't come that way. Therefore, I'm off the hook." The truth is, political activism does come more naturally to some people, but believe me, those who have been there for a long time and made a major impact in public policy didn't do so because they were just born that way. They worked. Thomas Edison said genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, and I would say that ratio probably holds true for political activism too. So, in order to bust this ridiculous I can't syndrome, I'd like to cover a few FGEs that I've heard more than once. You ask, what's an FGE? It's a frequently given excuse. So here we go. FGE number 1. I can't because I don't live in the area. Hate to break it to you, this is 2014. We're blessed with modern transportation to get us all the way across the state or even all the way across the country. So driving a few hours so you can block walk or attend a meeting or stand at polls, it may seem too far at first, but you'll get used to the drive. Trust me, there are a lot of us who do it all the time for liberty activism. And an added benefit is it's always great to get to see what's happening in other areas of the state and network with people in different areas. So, FG number 1 busted. Let's move on. FG number 2. I can't because I don't have the money. I hear this all the time, and honestly, I just have to laugh and shake my head. Are you kidding me? Do I look like a rich young heiress? I could talk all night about people who don't have any spare cash, who've made huge inroads and shaken up the whole political world using the tiniest of budgets that would shock you. Not even going to tell you the tiny amount that I've actually spent running Texas Firearms Freedom, because you probably wouldn't believe me. And there are people who've accomplished even much, much more than I have, been working for a lot longer, do it on very small personal budgets. And for some reason, people who look at it tend to think that it was done on a huge budget and just say, well, I couldn't do that because I don't have the funds. There can be some legitimacy here. Do you not have a car? You really don't have gas money? Okay, carpool with other activists. If you have time on your hands, that is an asset that you need to utilize, because there are plenty of people who don't have time. So get connected with others who have other resources, maybe a car, maybe gas money. Successful grassroots activism is about working together, each of us using our own available skills and resources and combining all of those for their greatest leverage. And you don't necessarily have to drive across a state. I'm sure there's something happening close to you. And if there isn't, go make it happen. Find a liberty-loving neighbor or a friend in your area to run for precinct chair, for mayor, for city council, for school board, or go run yourself. Volunteer on a local campaign. Host neighborhood get-togethers. Ask your next-door neighbor to come over and have hamburgers and talk about liberty. Be proactive and make it happen. If it turns out you really can't get on location where the action is, you still can be a successful activist. Use your time, the asset that you do have, to spread the word, to research information that others don't have time to research, to study liberty, to study the law. Use modern technology such as internet or social media, and that shouldn't cost you much at all. Learn to write well. You can help the cause of liberty through thoughtful and articulate articles, blog posts, emails, newspaper editorials, even through strategic use of social media. So that would be FG, what were we on now? FG number...
That was number 2.
I was on number 2, yes. And I think I have mine misnumbered. That's right.
This one is 2A.
All right, FG, it'll be FG number 3. I can't because I don't have time. Okay, so find someone else to be boots on the ground. You can pay their gas to get there. Again, use whatever resources you do have to help accomplish the goal. Or perhaps you can reprioritize. Could you maybe forego golfing or watching football or going to another movie or something less important than upholding liberty and standing up for gun rights? FG number 3, busted. You can do something, regardless of how little time you have. FG number 4. I can't because I've never done it before, and I'm just not that kind of person. Well, guess what? I'm not either. And once upon a time, none of us had ever done it before. The difference between the doer and the I can't excuse giver usually has to do with work ethic and commitment. Are you willing to study up and learn? Can you commit to showing up and helping? Then do it, no matter what kind of person you are, no matter if you've done it before. Network with more experienced activists who can show you the ropes. Step out, be brave. Not only can you help the cause of liberty, but you can gain confidence in communicating with others. Maybe you can become that kind of person. So that would be FG number 4. I'm a music teacher, and I hear excuses all the time, or at least I used to until I actually outlawed them. I've taught my students, never say I can't. You can say it's hard. You can say you don't want to. You can even say I won't. Might not be a very good thing to say, but at least it's being honest. But don't say you can't. I found that at least 98% of the time for my students, the task isn't impossible. They aren't victims of their circumstances. They just didn't complete the task because of a personal choice, whether it was conscious or unconscious. For example, they decided not to practice. They chose not to practice because they chose to do something else with their time instead of practicing. So it was a personal choice, not a victim scenario where they just couldn't. So let's get back to the I can't people. Here's the one thing that I do let people say. This to me is acceptable. I won't because I have more important things to be doing. You know, I hope I never put anyone down for making a personal, rational, thoughtful, intentional choice not to engage in activism because they honestly believe their time is better spent elsewhere. I don't stand up and push the cause of liberty in order to have the right to tell you how you should be spending your time. So by all means, do whatever you believe will be the most effective and achieve the best results. If that means doing political activism but taking a different approach than I take, go for it. If that means spending time with your dying mother, going to your kid's football game, having prayer meeting, getting some sleep instead of pulling all-nighters, do what you decide that you need to be doing. Just remember this. There's a quote I really like from Thomas Carlyle. He says, "Men do less than they ought unless they do all that they can." So here's my encouragement. Do all you can and don't sweat the rest. Make your decisions wisely. Don't let anyone else beat you up for them. But please, don't say, I can't.
Well said.
Very well said. Very well said.
Do y'all hear the I can't excuses sometimes?
Way too much. And I give them, for those of you that can't see us in the podcast, I'm waving my hand. Yeah, you're talking about me sometimes. John. All right. Let's see all of you who don't go to Liars Anonymous, raise your hand if you haven't used that excuse. Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, but you brought up some very good points, especially like in number 3. You don't have the time. You have something else you can donate. I'll pay for the gas. You know, here's a 20 to make you so you get halfway across Texas.
Right. And there are other resources, like if you have a van, well, hey, I'll drive your small car, you drive my van. That way you can take, one van full of activists. Or I've got a gift card to a restaurant. Here, take it, and you can eat on while you're out doing activism. Or I'm a manager of a hotel, and I can get a discount in this city so you can go do activism. There's so many things people can do.
Rachel, does that mean you're going to make it up to Chicago to be with the rest of the activists at the Gun Rights Policy Conference in late September?
If that is where I believe I can be the most effective and efficient, I will absolutely be there, and you can hold me to that.
I'm glad you didn't say I can't.
Yeah, I don't think I would have dared.
Okay, on with the news. We'll break it into pieces. This is in from Illinois. A Hinsdale Central High School student is challenging a suspension he said he received for wearing a T-shirt. The T-shirt depicted an AK-47 in outline. Senior Chris Borg said he was stopped for wearing the shirt by hall monitors. Later, the Dean of Students, Kimberly Deaver, offered him the chance to turn the shirt inside out, wear another shirt, or be suspended. Chris decided to go home. Superintendent Bruce Law said the T-shirt is a violation of the dress code because it is, in quotes, vulgar, inappropriate, unsafe, or disruptive to the educational process. Examples from the school's code include advertising display of alcohol, drugs, tobacco, or sexual innuendo. The superintendent said this shirt was both unsafe and disruptive. Chris said that the picture of the firearm, it had somebody's website on it, can be found in the history textbooks, and that you don't see people freaking out about that. But yet it was a violation to have a similar image on his shirt. He also points out that the school's mascot, which is a devil holding a trident, depicts an individual holding a weapon. Can you say double standards in Illinois education?
Okay, am I seeing this right? There's an AK-47, and an image of an AK-47 has been deemed vulgar.
Yeah,
wow.
That's right. The guy can.
Well, I mean, if you mean vulgar being common, I think it might be correct. But
there you go. So if it's a picture of Che Guevara holding a firearm, that's okay.
oh, I'm sure it would be.
Now, if they're meaning, inappropriate in the sense of, I would prefer, another weapon, that's a personal thing, but I don't think they were meaning it that way. Wow.
Well, now, did you say double standards in Minnesota? Well, the Minnesota Highway Patrol closed down a Minneapolis freeway on Tuesday morning to make, quote, a high-risk traffic stop. This was on Interstate 94, as they detained a motorist who had brandished a gun at another driver. The alleged offender was a special agent of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The police say the matter is now under investigation, and they are not releasing his name because he was a, quote, undercover agent, and Minnesota law allows them to withhold his name in that circumstances.
Do you think the guy just blew his cover?
Yeah.
A little? I can't let this go. John, you've written about it. I know I've written about it on my blog. But for a minute, I want to compare the criminal behavior of licensed concealed carry holders versus the criminal records of those engaged in law enforcement. For homicide, civilians are some 6 times less violent or safer. Now, to be charged with homicide, it's about even up. Assault, does it surprise you that, oh no, this isn't licensed holders, this is the general population. Does it surprise you that the police are charged with assault at about the same rate as the general population? That they're charged police are charged almost 2.5 times more often for sexual assault? The police are even comparable to the general population for violent crime. So, citizens are more law-abiding than the police for sexual assault and homicide, but for other crimes it's about the same. Now, compare this with concealed carry holders. We have data from North Carolina that shows concealed carry holders are 62% less likely to commit a DUI. They're 65% less likely than the general population for some violent crimes. Texas permit holders are much safer too. We've got data. This isn't my speculation. This is data. The point being that police are safe or equally dangerous as the average citizen, and that licensed carry holders are amongst the most law-abiding of our population. I doubt the BATF officer will be prosecuted. Anybody want to put a bet against me?
Doesn't sound like you have any takers.
Hearing silence, we'll go on to Rachel's next piece of news.
Let us proceed. So, y'all remember the story about the Open Carry Texas group going to Jack in the Box for a burger? Well, the New York Times reported that employees hid in the freezer and called police. The source of the New York Times story was, drumroll, Bloomberg's Moms Demand Action. The New York Times story was then repeated by Texas law enforcement officers. Open Carry Texas produced photographs of their group being served while the Jack in the Box employees went about their business, and the Times retracted the story. The Times and Bloomberg's groups really kind of seem like they're made for each other. One could suppose that all the lies that are fit to print kind of meets up with all the lies that are fit to tell in this collaboration here.
Now Jack in the Box has released a corporate statement. It's a lot like that of Starbucks. They, quote unquote, ask people not to carry in their stores. They do not ban it. Nonetheless, Shannon Watts and Everytown Moms for Illegal Mayors are claiming victory, because they know how to play the media better than the group of open carry activists. Let me say that again. Because they know how to play the media better, than the group of open carry activists, it is perceived as a win for the gun prohibitionists. And for most people, their perception is their reality. And we will be going to a break, and we will continue the news after the break.
Guys hear me at all?
Hey,
Yeah.
Yes.
You can?
You sound
can.
kind of quiet,
Quiet.
but
Let
yes,
me-
I can hear you.
let me turn you up. Gary, talk again.
Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4.
Okay, Rachel,
Yes, testing.
John.
Yes?
There.
Hi everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Welcome. Glad you're here.
There you go.
Thanks. Now I have to figure out how to make my headset here instead of the computer. I'm new at this, so.
Okay.
Go to that little thing that looks like a bolt face next to the red telephone.
Oh, the gear setting.
Okay, gear. Got it.
I thought it looked like an AR-15 bolt face. What can I say? You click on that,
Okay.
and it will open up about the
I've got-
camera, and then it has drop downs where you can pull up the headphone.
High definition audio device. High definition audio. Select the first one. Testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are you
Hear
hearing
me,
us
but-
through? Can you hear through your earphones, or are you hearing through your computer?
I'm hearing through my computer. Seeing a choice for headphones on.
Are your headphones plugged into your computer?
Yes.
You can do it in Apple or Windows.
Windows.
Under Control Panel, Hardware and Sound, Manage Audio Devices.
Not seeing hardware, but I am seeing administrative and
Oh, probably a different Control Panel. See on mine, it says Hardware and Sound under Control Panel. Yeah, we're probably running a different version of Windows. Well, you want to work the issue while...
Oh, it doesn't bother me any if you guys aren't hearing any backseat.
no,
I don't care.
I'm not hearing it.
No.
All right. Then we
You
can
sound good.
You know what I need to do? I need to go check the live chat. No, nobody was in our Politics and Guns chat window. Anybody else on either of the other windows?
No comments other than the one I first posted from YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay, shall we go back to the news? Gary? Oh, Gary, can you read the news links?
Well, I don't see them on my screen. You guys are taking up all of the screen. So do I go to something on the left-hand side?
Yeah, the one that's the little delta, the little triangle.
I don't know that I shared it with him.
Oh.
Gary, give me your... Do you have a Gmail address you want to give to the world? Probably not.
Or you can just type it in the chat.
Yeah. Type it in the chat, and I'll...
Not seeing a chat.
Top left, a blue box with bars.
There now, but it's not allowing.
And let me do it. Somebody said hi from Scott. Well, hi back, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
He's a buddy down in Texas. Chem trucker. I think. So Gary, do you see that link? Oh, Gary just jumped off, didn't he?
Mm.
Okay. Well, okay, let's press on with notes then.
Yeah.
Rachel, you want to come back and start with legal news, SAF?
Sure. Yes, let's do that. All right, coming back in 5. Welcome back to the news section of the Polite Society podcast. I have the next news item. This is from Arkansas. Legislative news. The Second Amendment Foundation won a case in Arkansas this week when they got a permanent injunction against that state's limitation of concealed carry permits for U.S. citizens only. SAF argued correctly that permanent legal residents should have the same rights as citizens. Alienage is a suspect categorization, and courts have applied strict scrutiny to these cases. SAF has won similar cases in Nebraska, Massachusetts, and New Mexico. Even the ACLU, not the most gun-friendly organization, has actually won 2 similar cases in South Dakota and Kentucky.
I guess that means if I turn in my U.S. citizenship, I might still be able to get a permit to own a gun.
Just go to Arkansas.
There you go. Or South Dakota.
There you go.
Well, do you remember a few years ago when an armed citizen thwarted an armed robbery in a Spartanburg, South Carolina Waffle House restaurant? Well, the family of the deceased robber say they didn't have to die. Newly released video shows the criminals pointing their guns at the patrons. The armed citizen ignored the event, but did not lie on the floor as the robbers demanded. When the armed men came back and pointed their gun at him, the citizen defended himself from a credible, immediate, and lethal threat to his life. The robber died right there. The robber threatened other people's lives, and he deserved to die so others might live. We have included a link to the security camera video in our show notes. You can see it for yourself.
We have our gun quotes for this week. The quote this week is from William Wilberforce. Wilberforce was the firebrand politician in England who eliminated slavery in the British Commonwealth. He said, "Having heard all of this, you may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say you didn't know." To me, that sounds like him saying, you can't say I can't.
That's my thoughts exactly, Rob.
Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back with 3 interviews, actually, right after this advertisement from Concealment Solutions.
I like that quote.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard it before.
Have you ever heard of the video called Amazing Grace?
Yes. I guess it's on there. Maybe I didn't catch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you've seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually... Oh, you know where it is? It's the commentaries section, and it came up as a highlight. And that movie, I've seen it before. It's now the background for my Facebook page.
Oh, nice.
Guys here?
Hey, there you go.
Yep.
Okay. I'll get this all figured out.
Okay.
I can at least see everybody.
Do you see that blue chat bar in the upper left corner? Blue with 3 white lines?
Yeah.
Click on it and type in your Gmail address so I can include you with the show notes.
On my Gmail, right?
Yeah. Whatever you use for Google Plus. Now I will go to the show notes and share it with... Okay, I added you. If you check that email address, it should have a link that will give you our show notes page.
Modern technology is wonderful.
Every now and again when it works, huh? Here, Gary, you have to get in. if you can get in the page, do you want to read one of the DGUs?
Yeah.
Let's divide these up, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Because what I'd like to do is come in and have just a brief discussion of the interviews, and let you guys do the DGUs.
Okay.
Did you guys see what New Jersey did yesterday and today?
In the Senate vote to limit
Yeah.
magazine capacity?
Limit magazine capacity, and if I read it right, and I may not have, I thought that it said that you have a picture ID in order to purchase a gun, a special, not just to carry conceal, but in order to buy a gun, you had to go down and get a special ID that allowed you to buy a gun.
But that was true a long time ago. Yeah, you have to get a FOID, you need sheriff's permission, and in some cases that takes 6 months just to go buy a firearm.
Oh, okay. I did not know that already. Episode 237?
Yep.
Yeah.
You in? There you are. Okay. Page down to DGUs. Columbus, Ohio. Well, Gary, I'm going to give you the first one. Or you want the second one so you watch somebody else do it, or do you care?
Sure. What's a DGU?
Defensive gun use.
Oh, okay. And is they listed as DGU in a heading somewhere? Or?
As you go down, it's section 4 or segment 4.
FGE2, GE3, FGE4.
Further down.
It's pretty far past that.
Rachel, you want to do Jamaica, man?
Sure.
Okay, I'll take.
The Henderson, North Carolina.
Yeah, did you want that? No, you should
Yeah.
do that. You should do
No, I'm
that.
doing the Charlotte Mecklenburg.
Since they're two from, okay, make fun of throwing me the next one then. Okay?
All right, so it's advertising railroad segment 4 DGUs, and you've got my name in front of something that says an intruder was shot.
Yeah. So that's the story you'll read, and then we'll comment on it and go on to the next one. John, Rob. Okay. Well, obviously, okay, and we'll do a break for tips and tricks. Who brings us in? Let me bring us in to talk about. It turns out those are all 3 my interviews that we're going to run this week.
Okay.
Okay. Back in 5. Everybody ready? I can't see you nod, so say something.
Yes.
Okay.
I need to put a hat on like Gary so you can see me nod.
See you nod. There we go. Hi, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those interviews. I had a great time. That was Anthony Calandro that I captured when we met at the NRA. We were actually in the NRA booth where you could buy, NRA shirts, NRA hats. It was the what do they call it? Not bling. The stuff you buy at a convention. What's it called? Swag.
Mm-hmm.
The swag area. And then after Anthony's testimony in front of the New Jersey Senate, I called him back. It turns out that was also right near the time when the Drake decision was not taken up by the Supreme Court. So that was interesting. I met Kathy Perkins of Moms with Guns Demand Action at the NRA convention. She just had another rally in her area after the convention. So that was another great excuse to get back in touch with Kathy. We have 2 links from that interview on our show notes. One's where Kathy talks with her local school board administration about armed security in schools, and then their school security officer responds. They've got a video of that. Again, those links are in the show notes.
You know, Rob, Kathy is a great example of somebody who doesn't say, I can't. She has a lot of reasons that she could potentially throw out there. She's new to it. She doesn't have a lot of background in this or a lot of experience. So in some senses, you know, she might say, well, I feel less qualified than others. She has jumped in and she has made herself knowledgeable. She's studied this. She's worked so hard. I'm so proud of Kathy. I'm so proud to know her. So I'm really glad that we got an interview with her that gets to be on the show.
You know, there's something else that's similar between the two of you. She homeschools. Yeah. Can you imagine being a homeschool parent and accepting the excuse, I can't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can predict what would happen pretty quickly.
Right.
Gary, can you take up the first DGU?
I can.
Ah, I can.
I can.
There you go.
All right.
Well, the first one, the story here is an intruder was shot and killed Monday morning by an elderly man in Columbus, Ohio. The story is that Emerson Fraser, 69, and his wife, who is 58. The police were called to their residence at 990 Buckner Road shortly before 4 a.m. on the report of a burglary. A few days ago, the alarm went off, indicating an intruder was in the garage. The intruder had fled by the time the couple had investigated it. Early this morning, the alarm went off again, and the couple went outside to investigate. 2 men in the garage beat the homeowners. Emerson Fraser was armed and shot one of the assailants. The other assailant fled. The man was taken to Ohio Health Grant Center. Interesting that they were trying to hit the same place several times.
Yeah, I guess they didn't clean him out the first time, huh?
Guess not.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about a similar case last week. If you are a 30-year-old, you might trade blows with an intruder, and you might be willing to tolerate that.
That's correct.
If someone's in their 60s, they're really reluctant to take a beating before they say, this is lethal, and I have to go to guns.
Well, I would agree. I mean, at my age, and I look at, that whole entire situation, and people actually ask us in the store.
What do they ask you?
Whether or not we carry. What our response to these types of situations are going to be. And I said, well, mine may be a little bit different than the 30-year-old I have in there, because he might be able to push a couple of 61. I'm not pushing any big kids out the door. My first response is going to be a little different than his. My threat level. I'm confronted by 2 teenage kids, 18, 19, 16, that are, one again, my size. To me, that's a pretty immediate threat if they're coming bodily harm. I do not have time to get into a pissing match with them, and I sure as hell don't want to get into a shoving match with them. So I'm going to absolutely lose.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Gary, you're dropping out. Can you turn off the video, your channel there? Just under the video camera, click it so it turns off.
Am I looking at the video camera? Watching you on video right now. So
yeah, but up above, there you go. Because some of your audio dropping out. I don't know whether it got too quiet or what.
Well, it may be that my headset isn't particularly good. It's an older model, so.
Okay. John, I think you had the next DGU.
Well, and this is a DGU with no shots fired. A rural homeowner called the Whitley County, Kentucky Sheriff's Department, reporting that a man had tried to force his way into the home through the front door. When that failed, the intruder busted out a window and was swinging a knife. police found 67-year-old Lonnie Paul partially in the home by way of the busted-out window. The homeowner was holding Paul at gunpoint with a shotgun in order to protect his 2-year-old in the home. Police found damage to the home's front door, and Paul did have a knife in his possession. Police said Paul appeared very intoxicated and that he confessed to, quote-unquote, drinking moonshine at a nearby residence. It is Kentucky. It is Eastern Kentucky, so you just don't know quite what was in that moonshine.
You know, when you can't find your way home, maybe you ought not move.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm kind of excited I get the next one. Never guessed I'd be reading a DGU from this place. Because really, I don't think there are very many licensed firearms owners in Jamaica. But this license holder in Jamaica pulled to the side of the road with car problems just before dawn on Tuesday morning. And a notorious robber called Pre-Dem, along with a young accomplice, tried to rob the stranded motorist. My guess is he didn't expect the motorist's response because at that point, the license holder fired once, striking Pre-Dem in the head and killing him. The teenage accomplice escaped. The police described Pre-Dem as a one-man crime spree, a crime spree that is now at an end. So the single armed citizen was able to do what the Jamaican police have been trying to do for months.
Here, congratulations.
I'm sorry the guy was threatened and had to defend himself. I'm pleased that he was able to defend himself, and it's too bad the rest of Jamaica can't.
That's true. Very repressive gun rights or gun laws in
Right.
Jamaica.
Yep.
Well, the next one actually comes from my state. Charlotte, Mecklenburg, North Carolina police say that 22-year-old Darlansky Lamar Sherrill died Monday night, a short time after an alleged, quote-unquote, alleged robbery in northwest Charlotte. Police were called around 9 p.m. by a man who said he was in his yard when he was confronted by Sherrill, who forced him inside and tried to rob him. The victim said Sherrill beat him with the gun, pistol whipped him. The victim also told police he was able to shoot the attacker. A short time later, a Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department officer stopped a car driven by Don Antonio Morrison for driving erratically. During the stop, his passenger, who just happened to be Darlansky Lamar Sherrill, ran from the car. Police found him shortly thereafter and that he was wounded. He was taken to the Carolinas Medical Center where he died. Mecklenburg County jail records indicate both Morrison and Sherrill had previous arrest. And in the case, Morrison was charged in this case with armed robbery and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. It said that prosecutors will decide later if any charges will be brought against the homeowner who was attacked. And my comment would be that under North Carolina's Castle Doctrine, the legal presumption is always in favor of a homeowner if threatened with severe bodily injury. I just cannot see him being charged.
You know what's interesting here? Here's a guy who was shot, and rather than even be captured by the police, which is also the best way to get medical help, he runs to his own death.
He ran, and they picked him up later. So, well, we have another GGU from North Carolina. Sounds like the Tar Heel State's almost becoming like Detroit.
Oops.
Whoops. Jonathan Hayes said he was asleep in his home in Henderson, North Carolina. It was around 9:45 a.m. when he heard a light knock on his back door. He ignored it at first. Then he heard a loud bang in the laundry room area. He grabbed his AR-15 that he keeps under his bed. Quote, I crouched down, grabbed the firearm, and was walking up the hallway. As soon as I poked my head around the corner, I saw a tall male standing there with a gun. He shot first, I shot second, he missed, and I reckon I connected. Close quote. The intruder was struck in the stomach. He ran out of the home and collapsed across the street in a church parking lot. Police arrested the suspect and the getaway car driver. He's listed in critical condition. When asked why he didn't shoot more, the homeowner, Mr. Hayes, said he only needed one well-placed shot.
That's
Yeah.
good self-control, because I would guess your heart rate is pretty high if somebody has just shot at you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Very good self-control. Kind of the opposite of what I've always been taught when I spend a little time, when I'm teaching a wife and stuff. Is shoot. If you're going to pull it out and you're going to shoot, just shoot it all in that direction. I guess. So.
Shoot until the threat stops.
That's what I was going to say. That's the way I approach it in my classes. I'll always tell my students, you shoot to stop the threat. If that's one bullet or several more than one.
That's good common sense. I'm not sure under that circumstance how many people would have that kind of control. It is amazing. It's, like you say, your heart is racing and just about everything is tunnel vision and scared to death. And to be able to shoot one or two, some pretty good self-control.
Yeah.
We have links to each of our news and defensive gun use articles at politesocietypodcast.com. They're there if you want to share them with a friend, and we invite you to introduce the podcast to other people that way. Next up is our tips and tricks segment, which I can never pronounce, and we'll be back to close out the show right after that. Gary, guys, did the rest of you hear Gary drop out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I'm not really sure what the matter is. If it's his cord or something getting kinked up.
Is it dropping out in the middle of a sentence or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be down.
Can you get the mic a little closer to your mouth? Rotate the headset forward.
I most certainly can get a better mic the next time.
Well, or I don't know whether it's on your end or our end. But somewhere between the two, it's not working out. And I don't think Paul is going to be involved in this. So John, Rachel,
I think I
Rob,
changed all the other
John.
ones to take. I think Paul's out of the rest. I just forgot that top one.
okay. That's good. Do I have anything I want to talk about? I don't think I do. I posted the rants, some of the rants. Yeah, all right. I'll mention it just so I can tee John up.
Okay.
Rachel, John, Rob, John, Rachel. We already got rid of Paul, huh?
Yeah, I did.
So Gary, do you know how Paul closes out the show?
Oh yeah.
I do not.
Oh, there you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay, I switched mics.
Yeah, now I have to turn that one down.
You're good.
On average, Gary, they're great.
They're wonderful.
There
And
you go.
All right.
Talk to me again.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
There you go. Now we got you evened up. John, let's have Gary start it off, okay?
Okay.
All right, what am I going to do?
At the very end of the podcast, and it won't be the mid. Oh, I'll remind everybody that there is no Saturday show.
There you go.
Okay. That wraps up another episode of the Polite Society podcast until midweek show. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we'll There is no email. Gary, that means you bring us back. Say hi and welcome. The Polite Society download app is out. Okay?
Okay.
You see where it says that?
I see where it says that.
Segment 5, show close.
I see where it says for Canadian listeners.
Go up from there a little
Up
bit.
from there.
Okay. John, safety cannot practice on campus. Also, please check out Kathy's, Gary, the Polite. Yeah, okay. The Polite Society download app is out on Amazon for Android.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, do we have the right link for Kathy? Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. It's as good as it's going to get. It's probably too late for that, but we'll ask him to go to Cornered Cat anyway. Okay, Gary, 5 seconds of silence and then pull us back.
Okay. The Polite Society download app is now available on Amazon for Android, and the iPhone app is in iTunes. They are located by our old name, Politics and Guns. Hot links are in our show notes.
We're experimenting with the show all the time, so please send us an email to tell us what you like or dislike. You can contact the show by emailing this address, onair@politicsandguns.com. You might hear your email read on the air. Or if you'd like to email any of the hosts directly, just email their first name and then add @politicsandguns.com. Or call 605-215-1438 to hear your voice on the air.
That's 605-215-1438.
Also, please check out Kathy Jackson's Cornered Cat training classes. Her next class is this weekend on May 17th in Philadelphia. Go to corneredcat.com for more classes and details. Rob, any new posts from your Slowfax blog you want to mention?
Well, you know some of the rants I used on here, the ones about, what was it? About thank you for being a good instructor. Some of those. Yeah, I posted those up on my blog, and some of them I submitted to AMOLand. We'll see if they're accepted or not. John, do you have anything you want to mention?
Well, actually I do. I did a post yesterday about a brand new fencing club at North Dakota State University in Fargo. Thanks to a bizarre interpretation of the school's weapons policy by the director of University Police and Safety, this club cannot practice on campus. Why? Because the director considers their blunt-tip foils and epis to be dangerous weapons. He justifies this by saying, the safest way is simply to have no weapons, real or perceived, on campus. Interestingly enough, the University of North Dakota and Minnesota State University Moorhead and Fargo are twin cities, so it's just across the river, both have fencing clubs, and both allow their teams to practice on campus.
So this isn't state law or common interpretations of the law out of court cases. This is some university administrator's attitude.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because I did some searching on this guy, and they on campus where students can actually store their bows, crossbows, hunting firearms, and he's okay with that. But he can't have people with essentially car antennas with handles. That's an Olympic sport on campus.
They have a baseball team, I take it.
I was just going to bring that up, Rob.
How about
As
hockey?
I said in my blog, yeah, sure, you betcha.
How about hockey? Because that's not pretend violent. That's
Serious.
No kidding.
that's not
Well,
perceived.
They also have javelin throwers on both the men's and women's track teams. They also have golfers, which,
They're called clubs.
they're called clubs, and, that Kennedy relative killed a girl with it.
Well, I'll tell you, I've never been angrier in my life with any weapon in my hand than with a putter.
It's the tool moved him to violence. See, we really do need to ban golf.
And there are 2 or 3 of them in swamps somewhere around Florida. I know damn sure there is.
Only 2 or 3?
Oh, well,
Thousands.
I'm not a very good
Thousands. Rachel.
Well, before all the sports equipment gets banned from campuses, I would like to remind our listeners to check out the Shooters Club by Bob Main and Ben Branham. For $75 a year or $6.25 a month, you get 24/7 access to some fantastic training and audio podcasts that you just can't get anywhere else. Bob is giving away his M&P Shield to one lucky member, and there are lots of other prizes as well. Don't forget, the drawing is coming up at the end of June, so check out the Shooters Club by Bob Main and Ben Branham.
And please listen to the other podcasts on the Crusader Podcast Network. We are also pleased to announce that we are now also members of the Gun Rights Network.
Join the National Rifle Association, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, and Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. You know, joining two makes you a hero. Supporting all four makes you a superhero.
And please join your local civil rights group like the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, Arizona Citizens Defense League, Gun Owners of California, Connecticut Citizens Defense League, Florida Carry, Georgia Carry, Georgia Gun Owners, Grassroots North Carolina, Illinois Carry, Maryland Shall Issue, Michigan Gun Owners, Michigan Open Carry, and Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners.
There's also Minnesota Gun Owners Civil Rights Alliance, Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, Citizens for a Safer New Jersey, Open Carry Texas, Texas Firearms Freedom, Texas State Rifle Association, Tennessee Firearms Association, Virginia Citizens Defense League, Virginia Open Carry, West Virginia Citizens Defense League, and the Wyoming Gun Owners.
Remember, if your state or local organization isn't with the episode, then email them in, and they will be. Peter from Virginia sent us a couple new organizations to add. We've included them. Thank you, Peter. For our Canadian listeners and their supporters, join the Canadian Shooting Sports Association and the Canadian National Firearms Association. I have to remind you, just as I have to remind me, there is no Saturday show.
And so that wraps up, folks, another episode of the Polite Society Podcast. So until mid-week's show next week,
stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road.
This show, copyright 2014, Paul Lathrop and the Polite Society Podcast.
wonderful.
Thanks, guys.
Very good.
All right.
We
Nice.
should also. Do we have any listeners that commented? We didn't have any in the live chat
Yeah,
area.
I haven't seen any come in.
Well, then
Nothing other than Chem Trucker.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. We do have to say thank you to the New Jersey Second Amendment Association for their support. Thank you to Concealment Solutions. Thank you, Gary, for ABN. Also, the Road Gunner and the Mag 40 class. That's happening right now. They've given us support in the past. Who else do we have on a regular basis? I'm feeling full. Oh, no, that's it.
ABN.
Well, I said Gary and ABN, didn't I?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Hey, we have two, just to remind everybody there, we have two new items that we just put up on our website.
Oh, good. What are they? What sort of items?
Two bulletproof vests. We're carrying two new lines of bulletproof vests. One that is it's Chinese made, but the quality is, meets all American standards. And the nice thing about it is it's a good entry level vest. You're talking about under $300. Gives you all the handgun protection up to, and it'll handle a crossbow. So yeah, an outstanding little deal. Plus it's got sleeves in it for plates, either the Teflon plates or the steel plates. And the nice thing about that was that it's hard to get somebody, as you guys probably know out there shopping, and be able to get under $300 for a good, competent bulletproof vest. Because then now you're talking about if you're doing just security work, if you're doing just a rally of some kind or another, and you just want to be able to have some general protection for you. Prepper who's a little bit limited on funds and wants to have something that fits nice and tight without having to carry the additional weight of plates. So got some choices for that. And then we're going to start carrying Flare-Nex vests too, which are the tactical, the real high-end tactical vests. So 2 new things just to give you guys a heads up on.
Good.
And you can get all the information on the website now.
Very cool.
So you'll cover that again in probably 10 days when we have the next Saturday show, right?
Oh yeah. This was just information for you guys. It's something new that I did.
I understand, but it's going to go out on YouTube.
Oh, okay. That I didn't necessarily mean for it to do, but all right. I got to learn this. I thought the show stopped and now we were just chatting.
No.
But that's okay on YouTube. They'll find it on the website if they want more information.
That happens right now. I'm going to go and shut down the broadcast.
Okay.